It entails most of the time making sure that they get on the bus when they're supposed to, get into their hotel rooms when they're supposed to, get into the venue when they're supposed to, and get on the stage when they're required.
We have to get a cab and we're going to have to put the rest in the cab. Right, we've run out of fucking baggage room.
But just as important was keeping track of the 500 pieces of luggage that went on and off the plane as the show rolled across Australia.
Can you imagine we're doing 500 laminates on the smallest laminating machine in the history of the world? It's the highs and the highs of my career.
As the tour finds its rhythm, friendships and friendly competition grow between the acts and crew, with a little push-along from legendary roadie Scrooge Madigan.
What it is there's a way of playing with their minds, because we have no other way of getting to them. So we play with their minds, you see. We give them points and stuff. Even Wheatley got one. Look, he got one for attendance is compulsory. He keeps throwing in the substitute.
Burgess and I were equal last on this thing, and I remember it was a classic because it went up, and you know some people were way down the bottom, other people were way up the top, and a few of the acts started to take it a bit seriously. You could see them sort of glancing at it, you know, every night, wondering why the drummer from Tamam Shud had 500 points and Normie Roney had 35. You know.
When we spoke about this project about 2 weeks ago, for the first 2 weeks, absolutely no one was interested. Absolutely no one. And they just went over the top of their heads. But as soon as this thing went up in Brisbane the other night, the amount of people that come to us and said to us, "Where's my name? I'm not old. I've only got 46." They've taken it so seriously. It's fantastic. Light entertainment to make people proud of the fact that we work with them, but more importantly to lift their game.
It's amazing how a little graft goes a long way, because I went with equal last, I think we were on 210 points, to 10,000 overnight. Aztec t-shirts for the crew, mate.
But have you seen this?
No, Thorpe. No, how did he get up there?
It's just proof positive that you can achieve in this business. From 8 to 486, corruption goes a long way, as you taught me as a young lad.
Bit of graft.
Did you get your fucking dinner?
We got our t-shirts. Yeah, it's got nothing to do with musical ability.
No. Well, I knew because Billy had nothing to do with musical ability.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, well, he was down here with Colin Burgess. That proves the point. But now he's up the elevator.
There's somebody from ICAC looking for me.
The king. He's the king. He's the champion. Funny like that, Billy. He always comes up and offers you something that you've really wanted all your life, that you never had an opportunity to buy 32 years ago. And says, I wonder if you 6 guys would like one of these. So we've gone, cool.
To cover the nation on a tight touring schedule meant early starts, long travel days, and parties every other night. And the artists and crew have been hit with a mystery flu that swept through the tour and taken its toll on all but the luckiest.
I already came on this tour with the flu. And I may have started, I don't think so, but anyway, I think everyone's blaming Dinah at the moment, so we'll just keep it that way. Blame an artist.
Everyone's doing it tough. It's been a pretty tight schedule, and there's a lot of old people out here to get sick from.
I got really sick in Wollongong and Newcastle, and it's really hard because it's a long show. You're talking 4 hours, and you're talking, it's quite loud and lots of action. And when one person's sick, it's bad enough, but when everyone else starts getting sick, tensions rise, bump-ins get harder, you have screaming, shouting, a few punch-ups.
It has been very difficult. We've got a really virulent flu strain going through the company, and that's been really difficult for us.
Sometimes on tour, the smallest things can cause the biggest problems. 35 acts, 60 musicians, 40 road crew, 1 ironing board.
Something's got to give, because now Max has got it and I can't do my thing, and you guys need that service. Who's going to carry it? It won't be my cases. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, I do.
So yeah, I'm
all right, I'll do it.
What do you need ironing? Well, because Billy did black pants. Billy's looked in his room, Max got it now, everyone wants it. Everyone.
A spare one which can float.
Something's got it. I was trying to talk to you about before.
You got space in your trunk?
We have a lady on our tour who's a wardrobe lady, Kath Heron, and she's worked with the Rolling Stones for over a year, and she said even when they're doing their hectic schedules, they never do any more than 18 days straight without a day off. Well, she calculated that we're doing near 40 days straight without a day off. Now, a travel day and a setup day is not a day off. A travel day is not a setup day. It should be a travel day only, but they've been incorporating the two of them, so everyone's a little bit whingy about stuff like that.
As the tour neared completion, the ABC decided that the Sydney show would be filmed for a special edition DVD. And when a TV production crew get involved, it means things are going to change.
I'll never forget, we get to Sydney, and of course, by this time the caravan is rolling, and the ABC decide the filming is going to be bigger than Ben Hur. I walked into the Sydney Entertainment Centre. It was probably fairly late in the day. And I walk in and there's fucking cameras everywhere. And there's this huge fucking crane right in the middle of the ground in amongst. And I freaked out. I could see all these people coming in and just shit themselves because there was a camera up their ear and a camera, you know, staring down their throat. And to get to those seats, you had to bend over to duck under some fucking crane. So I went out the back and exploded.
That fucking big crane's a joke. It's a fucking joke. If I'd have known it was going to be like that, I would have said no.
Well, that's what they are.
It's fucked. What? We're going to have so many fucking complaints. It's unbelievable. The fucking vibe in that room is going to be a piece of shit with that half of the fucking floor missing. It's a fucking joke. I've never seen it in 35 fucking years at a concert have I seen that.
Really?
Yes!
You get out, Laura.
Fucking disaster. Would have rather had a fucking railway line in front of the stage. That's a disaster.
What was it on the altar?
It was nothing like that, I can assure you. Nothing like that. You hardly knew they were in the fucking room.
Of course, it didn't make any difference. Nothing got moved. So we were very careful when the audience came in that we made them feel a big part of the filming, which they were.
But tonight, as you know, we're filming tonight. We're videoing tonight. Because they're going to make a picture of this on DVD.
And the two shows we filmed were magnificent. And, you know, when I actually sat down later and watched the rushes of what we had, it really came home to me just what we'd done, you know, what we'd achieved. And it was a very, very special feeling.
The Sydney show also marked the return to the stage of original Joy Boy, fellow Long Way to the Top producer and Australian promoting icon Kevin Jacobson. With Kevin on piano, younger brother Keith on bass and Cole out front, it had been 40 years since these Australian rock and roll pioneers had hit the stage together. And Kev's still got it after all these years.
We should do one 20 years from now.
Where will we park our walking frames?
Those people, I know.
Cole's a treat. He's a classic. He's our MC. Whether he's on stage all night or not, he's still our MC. I feel.
Hello, everybody.
Why do I know that?
Always happens when he gets picked. Show people I know. Everything about it is a beauty. Someday I'll have lovers. Loving isn't easy. Come by. By the time it come by, I'll be gone. I'll sing my song and I'll be gone. That's Coldjoy. That deserves a drink, Mr. Coldjoy.
Much of the footage seen behind the scenes was shot by one of the artists. John Paul Young decided way back when the Long Way to the Top tour was announced that he'd buy a video camera and carry it with him always. And video everything, he did.
I'm going to go out and buy a video camera because, I mean, I don't think this is ever going to happen again. You know, you're going to get some footage that, you know, will be absolutely unique and some that nobody's allowed to see.
Can I actually have that tape for the documentary?
No.
You cut out that fucking hippie music in here, for fuck's sake.
I hope you don't mind if we shut the fucking door.
I get no respect.
I know.
What's wrong with the way I look, the way I screwed my mind.
Standing backstage.
Nervous?
Watching the musicians get prepared for the onslaught of the audience. As you can see, a little lubrication doesn't go as straight.
That's the horns warming up.
And some of them are so old they're deaf.
Fuck off, John. And as quick as you can.
Okay.
Thank you, man.
There's a person. There's a person.
There are teeth under a camera.
With a vision rod in his pocket.
Bloody camera. There's that camera again. I'm going to give you something to photograph in a minute. Fucking camera. If you want to take one night stay. I'm ready now.
Of all the acts on the tour, one stood apart from the rest, and for one very good reason: volume.
Probably Billy Thorpe, because he's just so bloody loud.
Are we talking volume here, or are we talking ego on stage? And they're both the same person.
We're just waiting for the plug to come. Pretty good, isn't it? Cole said that. That was Cole's worst sense of humour. He's sick. He's implying I'm loud. Loud, yeah, I suppose it was loud. The Aztecs were a loud band. The music that the second Aztecs, not the first Aztecs, although the first Aztecs were quite loud for their time. There's something that comes out of playing music loud.
We come to tell you about a new boom. Don't you know it's a rose? What we do? Don't you know it's a rose?
You know Billy Thorpe is Billy Thorpe, and he's going to have more fucking amps than anybody else. He's going to be louder than anybody else, and he's going to play fucking longer than anyone else. So you live with it. That's what he is. That's why he's the biggest star, and still a big star in the contemporary world of Australian music.
As I said to Chuggy, I said, if you want the Sunbury Aztecs, then you got to then I'll give you the Sunbury Aztecs, but I don't want anybody telling me it's too fucking loud, you know, because that's who we were. And anyway, everybody got used to it after a while. Except for Carl. His ears are still ringing, I think.
It's because I miss you. Thoughts of you come back to me. Do what you wanna do, be what you wanna be, yeah.
While Glenn Wheatley, bass player for the Masters Apprentices, couldn't always be available for the show, a suitably named understudy was found and very quickly became part of the band.
I've done only part of the tour. I've been a bit busy with putting on John Farnham shows and etc. So I've been ably subbed by my 18-year-old son, Tim, who's basically done most of the work for me. And I must say he's done a very, very good job too. So we're doing a tag team at the moment. Tim did last night at the Sydney Entertainment Centre here, and I'm doing tonight. He'll do tomorrow, then I'll do the last night. So, you know, we're having fun.
It's quite nerve-wracking half the time. I don't know who to talk to, where to look, but no, it's been great.
What is it like playing with these old rockers?
Somewhat surreal, considering I've grown up with every single one of their CDs and do all their songs, used to jam in my room to all their old stuff, and now to be on the same stage and chilling in the same dressing room as half of them is quite an amazing feeling, actually.
You spent most of the first few shows hanging to the side of the stage when you played. The last few nights you've been dancing around and getting into it. What's changed?
And I don't know, I feel a lot more comfortable up there on stage now. Originally it was just kind of, didn't quite feel part of the band, didn't know how the crowd would react or warm to me. But no, everything's been quite good, everything's been quite positive so far, so I think I kind of get into it a bit more now.
We've been saying that when Glenn's not with us, we gain an edge.
He's also getting to the point where he sits around the old man and says, now, Dad, you're better off, start at the F sharp, slide up to the D, turn around, get a bit of sustain on the amp, and I'm going, hang on, I recorded this.
What the audience probably doesn't realise is that unlike any other shows, ensemble shows, there's never been a show like this anywhere in the world to my knowledge, but on any other ensemble shows, there's usually one backing band, or at the least one set of equipment that everybody uses. If you look at the video, you'll see that everybody's using their own gear every time the Revolve comes around, except for the house band, which also had to be set up every time it revolved. There was a setup going on backstage while there was a band on stage. I think there was something like 25 different changes of gear. It was quite a surgical procedure. I mean, and it was down to the wire, you know, down to 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then around we went, you know. But it was great because you get into a swing with it, and the crew were just so fantastic. And they were also, when they did a setup, they were testing mics backstage with that setup. And that setup is a kit of drums, full set of amplifiers, keyboards, microphones, fallback, that were all being line tested to the front of house B desk or A desk, while there was another act on front, and so it's all being done like this. It was magic.
To show appreciation to the hard-working crew, the producers held the first Golden Sausage Roll Awards. As the saying goes, it's a long way to the shop if you want a sausage roll.
I really want to thank John Pope and Skullman and all the crew. And that's the real reason we're here right now. And there's 40 crew on this tour. And without them, we wouldn't have been able to do it. We've been rolling out of towns, rolling into the next town, and they've been setting up in 18 hours. The show is amazing. We've blown 130,000 people away, and we couldn't have done it without them. Amanda and I then thought about things, and we brought on Ted Robinson. Ted, we couldn't have done it without you. I would have liked to have shoved that 70-foot crane up your ass yesterday, but thank you, mate. Couldn't have done it without him. And you all fucking drive him crazy, I gotta tell you. John Pope, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff Payman. Ladies and gentlemen, Derek Witt. The Skullman. And I'm very proud of my son, Nicholas Chubb. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Greg Rossman. Ladies and gentlemen, Scrooge Madigan. A true legend of Australian rock and roll.
Long Way to the Top was basically a 24-hour party that was interrupted by a show 3 hours every night. Keep in mind there was like something like 15 or 20 piano players on the show. There's God knows how many, you know, singers and guitar players, and there's a piano in every bar. So there were sing-alongs with. Like Cole Joy can play every song ever written with 3 fingers, with you know, 1 finger here and 3 chords. He could play every song ever written, and know the words. Amazing guy. So it'd always be Cole would be the first on, and then Brian Cant would join him, and then somebody else, and Pig would get up, Warren Moore from the Aztecs would get up, and somebody else would get up. So you'd end up in the middle of a Hilton, where there were also regular punters staying, and 150 maniacs, a concert, an impromptu concert. I remember they wouldn't let us use the piano in Adelaide because we might scratch it, so Col and I offered to buy it and put it on our room service. And they relented.
And the party-hard older rockers certainly impressed the younger members of the team.
Just to watch the goings on of how, you know, rock and roll is of an older generation carried on, as far as getting up on stage and kicking it hard after partying night after night after night and well into the wee hours of the morning. I have no idea how they do it, but I think they just stay one drink ahead of a hangover.
I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they get back on stage. Yeah, I'm actually surprised how much they are partying. I can't keep up with them. And how old are we?
Well, they all think they're 21. You know, you've got to sneak out of the bar at 2 a.m. or you're there till dawn, you know. It was fitting that we'd finish in Melbourne. So, you know, we were quite nervous about, we'd been on the road, you know, for 20-odd shows and we'd become one big family. So there was a lot of emotion involved and obviously everybody was worried about what was going to happen on stage, being the last show, and so many people being in a good position to pull stunts and cause problems, and you know there was some rivalry out there, and there were a couple of people wanted to get even with so and so for playing too long one night or something like that, you know. So there were a lot of talking going on, and basically we get down to the show, we do the show, and Cole's first up.
Right at the end, they all held up placards. 9 out of 10. The whole front row, right? 9 out of 10, 11 out of 10, 10 out of 10.
I can hear words of encouragement. Get off, he was calling.
Well, I had to do it loud.
They could hear you down the bloody cricket ground.
Who gave the scorecard?
Tony Barber. Tony Barber.
Are they the real audience?
Yeah. I scored. Oh, well, I'll be battered on both sides.
He'd be battered on both sides.
Who did I give scores to on the first night?
Me.
How'd you go?
Bloody terrible. You give me a 6.
We gave him 6.
They were bribed, those people. Some people gave you 11 out of 10.
I know. I've never got that many in my life.
And that was the start of quite a long night. It was just ridiculous what went on.
Before he started.
Clap your hands, everybody.
Sharon! Sharon!
And the Prince of fucking Darkness! This is the wrong fucking gig! Sharon!
It's J.P. Osborne.
Why didn't you tell us?
That's good. Because you should have been watching the show, Amanda. You're the producer.
Still are the bad boys of rock and roll, I hope. If we're not, well, there's something wrong somewhere.
I don't know about troublemakers. There's always real pranksters. We've got Bluey and Cole from the Aztecs are real pranksters. They're screams. It's a pretty sedate tour, in keeping with our age. I hate to say it, but it's true. It's pretty sedate, really.
One of the show-stopping pieces at the show was when the dancers put on these yellow, fluffy bird-type outfits and danced in Lovers in the Air. Well, they got me and they put the bra on and the wings and the headdress, and I danced across the stage during John Paul Young, blowing kisses and everything. And of course, Squeak, never being slow to come forward, turns the chorus into Chuggies in the Air.
Chuggies in the air. Chuggies in the air. Chuggies in the air. This guy has left his mark, or his stain, should I say, on every spot on this continent. He's famous for his Dance of the Flames, which involves rolling up newspaper and setting it alight. And in an overzealous moment, used greaseproof paper once and set his ass and half a hotel on fire. Mr. John Bluey Watson here. I want to know.
Well, Bluey, on the bow, dropped his trousers. We didn't think he'd do it, but he really did it. We're proud of him. What a guy. My hero.
Don't know what happened. I was just standing there and off I came.
Must be working.
I apologise to everyone in Melbourne and on the show because it definitely wasn't, meant to be.
I had to get Normie Rowe. I mean, it had to be done. We were rivals in the 60s, and it was the perfect opportunity.
There's usually this scantily dressed dancer with, the great body and everything doing this silhouette dance on the screen. And she was replaced halfway through the song by Gil Matthews and some accomplice in doing one of those silhouette doctors, the removal of things from various orifices of the body. Everybody's laughing.
I swear.
I'm the brunt of the joke.
You can't see anything.
Covers down my backbone. Got the shakes in my knee bone. I got a tremor in my thigh bone. Shaking all over.
I caught it out of the corner of my eye.
Well, you make me shake and I like it. Baby, you make me shake and I like it. Baby, shake, 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 shake.
Get off.
And he gets the girl.
You think I'm going to finish this now, don't you? I'm going to hang you out to dry.
Shaking all over.
The routine went out the window, and the poor girl who'd only done it last night and tonight was very upset. And Gil, you should know better. You prick.
It's good to see all the familiar faces doing it and still doing it real good.
It's just sort of like yesterday. All of a sudden, we're all back together again.
It has to be documented. It has to be there. And once you get with this gang, I mean, they're a good bunch of people. There's no snotty nose in among this lot. And if there was, I don't think they'd last very long, especially on this tour.
The television show created a milestone in its own right. And I think that the concept of taking it on the road, I think was an extraordinary idea. I don't think anybody thought it was going to be as successful as what it was at the time. And I think we've proved to a lot of people that we can still do it and still have a good time.
A bit like a high school reunion, there's a lot of love in the room and all that sort of stuff. You can get a bit sentimental about it. It's good fun. We're not ashamed of that at all. Probably a few tears at the end.
And the production values on the show is equal to any great show. U2, Stones, the same sort of money investment of time and energy and art and talent and design has gone into the show, and it's a pleasure to be on. Just if you don't do anything else in your life, it's a nice thing to finish with.
To actually have created something that will live long past us is just a fantastic feeling for me, and I know that Kevin Jacobson, Amber, Amanda, Billy, our American partner Jack Utzik, all feel the same way, that we actually went out there, the promoters, Kevin, Jack and I, put our nuts on the line and it paid off. And it was Australian music paying off. And I'm very proud to have been a part of it.
Now, this is the last show. It's happy and it's sad. This is something that I sat down with Michael Chugg. He's the guy that ran on with the feathers earlier. And Amanda Pellman and Ted Robinson, who directed the TV show that you'll see at the end of the year. This has been... I can't speak. It's been the best fucking thing I've ever done.
As the finale of the last show approached and the artists left the long way to the top stage for the last time, mixed emotions could be seen on their faces as they stood side stage. The history-making musical adventure they'd taken together was coming to an end.
Let's get some guitar players on here.
And another one bites the dust. Ho!
So sad. We feel empty. Yeah. Why can't we have it all over again? We want to cry.
It's pretty sad, really. We've kind of, really got to know each other pretty well now. There's a lot of people I haven't met that were on the show.
Exhilarating, exciting, but very, very sad.
Not to be missed and never to be forgotten. It was fantastic. Thank you very much, Mr. Chugg.
It's been a beautiful tour. Funny word, I know, but it feels so full of love to me. I think we all genuinely like each other, and in most cases we love each other. So, what a lovely time.
The experience of my life was wonderful.
It's just amazing to hook up with all the guys that I started out with, like 90 guys that if you had to ask me a week ago before the tour started, would I ever see these guys again, I probably would have said my chances are zilch of seeing everyone, but to get to hang out with them for a month and they're still playing music to me, I'm a happy man.
The cast and crew of Long Way to the Top.
We'd like to thank all the crew and the guys at the sound desk and the 50 guys that have been working backstage all night that you haven't seen. Come on! Come on!
4.5 weeks, 18 concerts, and 140,000 people. Australia, we love you.